expecting much out of it, I don't know. I mean, a bit of a background on Point, I guess, just quickly, is that we're not that normal fishing channel which just brings to you guys fishing and throwing our best captures in your face. We're more or less, I guess, here to really help with the Q&As and also, I guess, teach you guys about fishing and help you with our experience along the way. Now, we've been going for about 5 years now, so she's a fair while, but in that time we've had about 2 years off, and that of course was when we purchased our property up here north of Perth, which we've turned into a bit of a fishing ranch, so that is fantastic. But the whole idea of these hopefully consistent Wednesday chats is going to be so we can get comfortable as an audience and get a bit of a Q&A going along. I feel if we can get some Q&As going along, that would be great, and I can answer any questions you may have. Tonight's is going to be about a bit of new gear that I've got lately and stuff that I'm really quite excited about. I'm really excited about these couple of reels that I've just got, one of which is the new droning reel, which I've spoken about in previous episodes. Another is a new reel, which I'm going to be primarily using for the trip to Exmouth coming up, which is going to be in September. We're going to film a bit of that. And then there's a couple of smaller products from Vexed that have just absolutely blown me away, which we've got a fantastic rig tutorial coming up this Saturday about. And that's where I want to start. I want to start with the Vexed stuff. Now, Vexed has listened and they've really cottoned onto the South African way of fishing, and of course West Australia is following very fast. South Africans have been known to be definitely the leaders of surf fishing, although I think the blokes from the UK will certainly try and challenge that, and there'll be a bit of a backwards and forwards. But one thing that the South Africans have done really well is with their dingle dangles, and it's something I can guarantee a lot of you have heard about. So, this is the new thing from Vexed, which is called the Jingle Dangle. Now, what makes the Jingle Dangle a little bit different from a normal dingle dangle is the fact that Vexed has put in it, I don't know if you can hear that, but a little rattle. And the rattle, what that's going to do is whilst it's sitting in the surf and your bait is plummeting and plunging and wafting all over the show, is it's going to be setting off that vibration through the water. And as we know with Mulloway, down their lateral lines, they've got beautiful sensors that pick up a lot of vibration. So that's where the Jingle Dangle is going to be a game changer. Now, the best thing with the Jingle Dangle is you get unrigged versions like this, which is just your standard Dingle Dangle, I guess, with the rattle. But they also do them here, pre-rigged on a single circle hook, and they're done in a whole heap of different sizes. So, you know, as you can see behind me here, we've got smaller ones, baby ones there. We've got real big ones up on the wall there. We've got a whole heap of stuff, and I mean, as soon as these came on board, I just had to have them. Now, so that's the Jingle Dangles out the way, but the reels are the most exciting part and the bit that I wanted to talk about most. Now, of course, let's start with the popping reel, because that's the reel we haven't sort of, I guess, mentioned too much about on the channel. And what we've done is we've gone out and bought ourselves this here. Now, this here is a Slammer 7500. We've mixed this up this is going to be on a PE5 combo. So PE5, we've got 400 meters of Slammer braid on there, onto the Slammer 7500. And this is going to be, I guess, primarily used on this Exmouth trip on the inside of the reef, especially around Pilgrimana and all those sort of places down the west side. And hopefully if we can get out to the islands, it'll be a fantastic reel to drag some, you know, sort of up to 100 gram stick baits around over some shallow bommies, lock up and try and pull them out. Now, we'll be running probably only maybe 100-pound leaders on that. And I mean, I know 100-pound may seem like a bit excessive to a lot of people. However, the 100-pound is well and truly necessary when you're on these shallow bommies and fish like your Spangled Emperor and GTs are trying to drag you straight back into it. So that's the first reel we've got there, which as I said, is going to be a fantastic addition to all of our fishing. We're going to use it down here as well for droning as well. As I said, 400 meters, it's going to be a perfect 200 meter sort of drop reel. It is the low speed as well, so it means that we are dragging big sinkers and baits, and it's going to do it exceptionally well without tiring ourselves out. And that's a huge thing. I mean, you got to remember when drone fishing and stuff like that, that, you know, how you going there, Zen? Good to see someone commenting. I didn't know whether that bit was working because, as I said, this is my first live stream. So yeah, good to see that people can comment. I'm happy about that. But yeah, as I said, we've put the electric down from the shorter drops, and we want to get into the shorter drops with spin reels, as well as the other reel, which I'm going to pull out now. Now, the next reel I'm going to pull out is the reel that I've been most excited about, and it's the one that I've spoken a lot about on the channel, that we were going to trade or not trade, but put the electric to sleep for this reel. Now, just before I do put this reel up on the bench there, I do want to just quickly shout out that electric reel is not going completely to sleep, but it will only be used for super long drops that I can't be bothered winding in on. Call me lazy, I don't care, technology's great. But here we have it here. This is the new Penn Torque 40 narrow. Now, why have we gone a narrow? We've gone a narrow because if I'm not the one grabbing the rod, or someone else grabs it, or one of us gets excited, we can just pretty much wind, and without the really wide spool, the line has a lot better tendency to stay behaved and not really bunch up in the center. We've gone the 2-speed there, so we're halfway in, or we've got a big carb on it, Ray. We can click it straight in, and there's the low speed, so it'll be a lot easier to wind. The thing I like about this reel, now keep in mind, we're going to do a full review on this reel. We're not going to cover the full review in this live stream. But there's a few little features I do love about this reel. And of course, it's up the side here where we've got our explanation. So we've got free spool 1, 2, 3, and 4 odd dots there, which takes us into strike mode on the top. From strike mode, we go into, what do they call it? They're full. And then one that every angler will be able to resonate completely is the top one there, where Penn has actually introduced sunset. Now, we all know sunset is, we're in a lot of trouble, let's lock this up because we've run out of line. So I thought that was quite a comical little feature by Penn. But all in all, the reason we've gone the Penn Torque over a lot of the other overhead reels on the market was just due to it being stupidly strong. You can beat the Penn Torques up just like you could the Internationals, with a whole heap of just abuse. These here do offer a slight weight saving, not a great deal, but you know, I suppose a bit of extra weight into when you put it into relevance with strength, you're better off with that little bit of extra weight. Now we've spooled this here up with, that's going to be PE5. We've managed to get on there, we've got 750 odd meters of PE5 with still a hell of a lot left on the spool, which is going to be either a small top shot for if we're trawling up north. We're easily going to be able to get 50 meters on there of top shot, which most likely will not happen. But most importantly, we will be able to get a fantastic wind on leader put on that. And that's going to be, yeah, really, really good. The other thing is, which the overhead Fathom Electric doesn't have, is a loud ratchet. I mean, that's really nice and loud. You're going to hear that from down the beach, and that's going to make a heck of a commotion. So no matter what you're doing, you're going to be able to get right into it. So it's going to be fantastic. Now, keep in mind, guys, whilst we're on here at the moment, if you do have any questions, just write them down below, and I'll try and answer them on this thing to the best of my ability. I said Zen's been good there. He's got up there and said g'day, and it's good to be able to see some movement, which is fantastic. But I mean, I suppose the thing we're struggling at the moment with the beaches and all that kind of stuff is the weather at the moment in Western Australia, as we all know, has been absolutely rubbish. Up my way, 6.2 metre swell, apparently on Sunday or Monday, which is crazy. Hey, brother. How you going there, Ed? Look, a recommendation for a conventional setup for GTs. How big are your GTs you got over there would be the first question I would ask. Without knowing exactly how big the Gs are or the water over in Hawaii there, my recommendation, if I was going to go in the Penn realm, would be starting with this exact reel that I've got here, which is the 7500 Slammer. As I said, I've got 400 meters of PE5 on that. So that is a heck of a lot of line of PE5. Now, this is going to be pretty much, as I said, for shallow water stuff, but G's up to maybe 20 kilos. So if you're going to go above the 20 kilo Gs, then yeah, you're probably going to want to step right up. I mean, they do 8.5s, 9.5s, and so on. Or maybe even look into the Authority series. If that's not in the budget, the new spin fishers are bulletproof. Parkco, where's the pink poly these days? Mate, the pink poly's gone. The pink poly was a sensational boat. We moved up to Lancelin here, and I thought, well, the pink poly's probably not best suited to open water, so we went and bought ourselves the Savage Centurion 480. Now, I missed the pink poly from the minute I sold it. Absolute minute I sold it. So as you might have seen in some recent episodes, we've got the blue poly now. So I've gone out and bought the exact same Polycraft. It's a 410 Challenger, but it's a center console. I managed to pick it up as a second-hand boat, and the whole idea of the 410 blue Challenger is going to be create, I guess, a series on a way you can get into boating on a budget, because we did pick it up at a very good price, and there's plenty of good steals at the moment. But most importantly, we missed that 410, so I can honestly say that the 410 is a cracking boat, and it's one you'll miss if you didn't have it. So whilst the pink poly is gone, we have now got the new blue poly. The blue poly is still looking for a name. We haven't worked that out yet, but we've already put the electric motor up the front and done all that kind of stuff, which is in an episode I think we did a couple of months ago now. And the reason we haven't seen much more of it is, once again, mentioning that weather. The weather's just been so average that we haven't been able to get that in the open water. We've been out and chased some brim, but in fairness, brim on film, mate, it doesn't excite me, so I can't see it exciting you guys. But I mean, if you did want to see more brim stuff, I suppose you could just mention it down below and we can get it done, because it's quite an easy little video to get done. But as I said, all in all, the Polycrafts are not gone on this channel. In fact, we're really moving back into it. We're in between working out whether we want to put a new outboard on the back of ours or not. I guess we're in two minds. The reason is because if we did put the new outboard on, does it take it outside the realm of the budget build, which I think it would. I mean, a new 40 for the back of that boat is going to be no cheaper than probably eight or so $1,000. And as I said, that just blows, I think, anyone's budget out on a cheaper build. So the Mariner on the back is one of the Tahatsu builds. It is being a little bit mischievous at the moment, but honestly, I think that can be sorted out with a quick trip to Boat City. Andrew, nothing's wrong with brim fishing at all. In fact, as I said, the blue poly has got the electric up the front, so I can brim fish, and I do brim fish a lot. We are looking at doing a series with the Watter Boys, so the West Australian Tournament Anglers. If you haven't checked them out, it's a good idea too. But essentially, we just find that when we film brim fishing, we don't get any response from the audience, and it just doesn't seem like that's what the audience wants to see. So I guess, yeah, going back to your question, what's wrong with brim fishing? Absolutely nothing at all. I still have an absolute blast, especially when we're chasing them on shallow water stuff on the surface. So, you know, I love brim fishing. A lot of people love brim fishing, but as I said, it just doesn't do us any favours on the camera. And as I said, when I need to please an audience, that's what I've got to aim towards. However, if you want to see it, Andrew, certainly let me know and we'll get it done. Parkco, I'd love to see some offshore work in the poly when it's rough. Well, mate, if you go back through the videos, we actually headed out and chased some snapper not too long ago in it. We filmed the whole day, and when we were going out, it was blowing stiff east, and it was an absolute pain out there. The poly, once trimmed, the polys are actually quite a dry boat, contrary to popular belief. So we were out there in some pretty hazardous stuff that probably we shouldn't have been out in, and Polycraft certainly wouldn't have wanted to see us out in. But we got it done. We found some great snapper that day, which was icing on the cake. And at the very end of the episode, we got into some absolutely magnificent tuna. And the tuna are always a fantastic constellation on your trip home. And probably that's something I should touch on now. I mean, a lot of guys at the moment are a bit devo about the demersal ban. There's no need to be, because there's so many fish out there we can chase and we can have a great time doing it. I mean, not only have we got still the King George whiting on the inshore, but yeah, the tuna are still going crazy. I mean, even this time of year, you can find southern blues almost anywhere from the 20 to 30 metre mark. And it just takes a little bit of throwing some lures at them. And as soon as you put one in front of their nose, I can guarantee that southern blue, she's biting. Keep in mind, this time of year, I was talking to Peter Fullerton, and Pete was saying that, you know, this time of year, the yellowfin tuna are going crazy out there as well, which is great. I mean, and they're going to be chasing the small bonito and stuff like that, some of the big yellowfin. So, yeah, Andrew, we're in Western Australia here, mate. Yeah, over here on the West Coast. But, yeah, so there's still plenty of species to chase during the demersal ban, or... Keep in mind, the demersal ban doesn't cover land-based fishing, so you can still get out fly drones and smack some snapper. I mean, that's where our aeroo really comes in, is the fact that we can fish year-round for snapper. I fish for snapper occasionally as a sports fish, but most importantly, they're usually there for eating. You know, I don't mind to feed a pink snapper, especially if it's treated well. So yeah, that's something to keep in mind, guys. Just because the demersal ban is in, it doesn't mean that we can't fish. We can still chase them land-based, and honestly, if you get onto them with the drone, it's a lot easier than a boat a lot of the time. A lot more fun putting them on the sand. Some will argue not so fun, because I used to use, well, I still do use an electric reel for the big drops, but I said that's why we've got this here. Little surprises. What kind of surprises do you have? Nah, just joking. Mate, love you, chat. Mate, thanks so much for that comment there, mate. We do try our best to always bring the best content to the audience. We want to know what you want to see, because that's the only way that I'm going to be able to produce content that really suits the audience. And as I said, we're absolutely nothing without a good audience. And for that reason, we really want to say a big thank you to everyone who's tuned in today and has tuned in the past. And especially those guys who've liked and subscribed, because subscribing costs absolutely nothing, but it helps us YouTubers along hugely. Like, you have no idea. One sub is just massive to us. Not only does it help us, but it shows that the content we are producing is relevant to what you guys want to see. And I mean, is there anyone on here at the moment who has some suggestions for some stuff they'd like to see? I mean, I'd love to hear it. We're certainly not a channel that just produces what we want to produce. Thanks very much, Andrew. The sub is really appreciated. Yeah, we're not the type of channel that produces just what we want to produce. We try and follow trends and really develop the channel around you guys and what you want to see. You made me land a lot more fish with your rig tutorials. Thanks again, mate. Yeah, look, we do a lot of rig tutorials on this channel, that's for sure. And yeah, I mean, we hope that those rigs certainly do help, which, as you said, it has. So I'm really quite chuffed about that. Parkco 410 versus 450 poly. Mate, here's something that a lot of people don't know. I sold Polycrafts for a long time amongst Corallines, Stescos, and a whole heap of other boats in a place called Boat City in Perth, Western Australia. So I actually had the privilege and I guess the luxury of being able to take these boats out. So I can actually give you a good answer on that one. One we could probably elaborate in another episode. But the main difference between the 410 and the 450 is the bow. Okay, so the 450 has got a lot sharper water entry than what the 410 has. So what you're going to find in a lot more slop, it does ride just a tad better than the 410. I do find it a little less stable than the 410. The 410 having a lot less dead rise at the back, and I guess a lot shallower entry at the front, means that it is a much stabler boat. Depending on what you wanted is which boat you'd go. If I wanted a dedicated offshore boat, the 450. The 450 is a fantastic boat. It is very offshore capable, as is the 410, but the 450 is more designed for that. Whereas if you wanted that crossover boat like what we wanted, how you going there, Sam? Good to have you on board, mate. If you wanted more of a crossover boat, then the 410 is the better boat for it. Lighter, takes less horsepower, but most importantly, not only can we fish that in the open water, which we did, especially when I had Cameron and Scott on the channel, and boy, I'd give anything to have them guys back. Hopefully they do watch this and maybe we could get them on. Give them some love down below maybe. But yeah, the 410 also swaps over into that brim side of things. And most importantly, we're really, really hoping to get up around Derby and Broome and chase the Barra in the Fitzroy. So what hooks do we use to catch? I'm going to presume that's flatties and not fatties, because if you wanted to catch me, mate, it's a whopper value meal down at the local Hungry Jack's. No hooks needed. For flatties, if that's what you were alluding to, which I hope it was maybe, where we throw soft plastics through and through. Most usually these here. So these are the plastics that I throw a lot for flatties, which is the 3-inch Pearl Watermelon power baits by Berkeley. There's nothing that swims that doesn't eat that. Okay. Honestly, I hear a lot of the time, if you could have one lure for the rest of your life, what would it be? I'm telling you, give me these 3-inch Pearl Watermelon bass minnows and they will catch fish all up the coast. We've caught everything from brim to dart and then giant herring and stuff up at Exmouth. So we've had a great time on it. A little surprise, every now and then you talk about your kids, any episodes of family fishing adventures in the future. Yeah, quite possibly. It's a really touchy one. The fishing with kids. Is YouTube, my kids are young, is YouTube really the right place for children? I think so, yes, especially on a fishing channel. And a lot of people are probably going to have a controversial opinion on that, and that's okay, it's up to them. So in answer to your question there, little surprises, yes, there will be family fishing adventures in the future, especially on our trip to Exmouth. But my boys are quite naughty little boys from time to time, so they probably need to settle down a bit and learn a bit of responsibility, which I'm sure they'll get to very quick. Gummy shark or any shark off the beach usually get good views. Not sure of many sharks there. Andrew, funny enough you mentioned that, we used to fish in our young years before the YouTube thing, we used to fish a lot for gummy sharks. And we found the gummy sharks really like that sort of limestoney plate sort of stuff onto sand. And we used to do really well, especially down around the City Beach area in Perth, Western Australia. Once again, Cameron and Scott, who used to be on this channel, really got stuck into them with me. And I mean, they are my brothers. So of course we all fed off each other and worked it out together, and it was fantastic. So, I mean, yeah, maybe I might be able to actually coax Cameron and Scott into an episode where we shoot back down to Perth, because we do live about 2 hours away now, where we shoot back down to Perth and get into them. Parkco, what are the other two boys up to these days? Thanks to the detailed poly explanation. Mate, no worries on the poly explanation. You're going to notice pretty quick that I'm an absolute Polycraft fanatic. So you just got to mention the word Polycraft, and I'll talk for hours. Unfortunately, we probably don't have time for hours on this live, but certainly keep up to date on this channel, and we will cover polys a lot more. In fact, I really want to get a hold of Anthony from Boat City, who's the brains behind West Australia Polycraft, and see if we can get some even the cutties out on the water, which would be cool. The other two boys, what are they up to these days? You wouldn't believe it. They live across the road from me. Unfortunately, we work different shifts, which is why it's terribly difficult to get them out on the channel, because, yeah, as I said, with different shifts, we never line up. The couple of days we have lined up, we got Cameron out for one of probably the most epic Dewey sessions of my life. We got in, not necessarily the biggest fish. Cameron donged an absolute horse, which was probably up around the 12 to 15 kilos. Yeah, okay, I've heard it all before. People have caught 17, 25 kilo Deweys. That's cool. But 12 to 15 kilos is still a fantastic fish in anyone's book. But it wasn't necessarily that. It was the fact that, how you going, filaments of imagination. In fact, I just saw this channel the other day, and wild what you guys are doing with a 3D printer. Well done. Get some lures cranking. So yeah, I mean, the boys, when we can, we get them out. Sam, am I a professional or do I work? Well, a lot of people will probably argue that I'm a professional. No, I'm not a professional. We YouTube part-time. I work a full-time job as well. Why people would argue whether I'm a professional or not, I don't call myself a professional. However, many would probably argue that I am, given that we worked in the tackle industry for such a long period of time. From that, obviously, in the channel, we are, as you guys have probably worked out, we're very well looked after by Penn, Berkeley, Abu, Garcia, Owner, Aeroo drones and so forth for the content we create, as well as just general gear testing, which we are absolutely so privileged to have. So I guess the word professional, it's a hard one to answer. I'm still going to say I'm not a professional because I learn every day. And I don't believe at any point you're going to stop learning. I think there's some calculation on how many hours you had to have done something to become a professional, and we've exceeded that. But look, as I said, mate, I'm too humble to sort of say I'm a professional. As I said, I'm still what I'd consider a learning angler, but can bring a very positive spin and some educational stuff to you guys. What's my favourite sort of fishing to do and why? Yeah, well, I actually got asked this from Nolan the other day. So Nolan Goes Fishing came up here and had a chat to me. And it depends on where I am. If I'm up north, shallow water spangled emperor by far is my favourite type of fishing, especially on top water. The way they hit that lure and just pull you straight back into any structure they can find. The fight is never over. So that's fantastic there. In Perth, I mean, I love my land-based fishing, so it's got to be Taylor on lures, and especially when I can share that time with Cameron or Scott, my brothers, where we have got another brother which we can never seem to get out fishing, Jason. I'd love to be able to get Jason out fishing one day. But yeah, in Perth, definitely Taylor on lures. Cameron's actually got this cracking spot that he takes me to every now and then. And yeah, that spot there, I've never fished Taylor spots like this. I can't film it, I'm sorry, because it is one of Cam's secret spots. But for good reason, we want to keep it secret. Nick White, unfortunately, I don't know who Nick White is by name. Keep in mind though, Sam, I am terrible with names, so it's certainly no offense to Nick if I have met him. Faces, I'm fantastic and terrific with faces. So certainly if I have met Nick, I would know him by face straight away. But essentially, yeah, with names, I'm not the most savvy, which I do greatly apologise for to anyone if I have met you and I don't remember your name. But I certainly remember who you are. But anyway, guys, I guess that's part of the live. If there's no more questions, yeah, we might wrap that one up. I've just worked out that I've got no idea how to turn this live stream off, so that's going to be awesome. But essentially, yeah, that wraps it up. Thanks very much for tuning in. You're about to watch me waffle around with the phone and try and work it out. And yeah, so we might try and make this a bit of a regular thing. I don't know. We'll see how we go. Depends if work's going to get in the way. But onwards and upwards. And of course, Saturday we will have a drone fishing rig built with these jingle dangles that sure will be something you've never seen before and something that we've tested now and works exceptionally well. All right, guys, that's 30 minutes. I can't believe that. That's insane. But yeah, we'll catch you on the next episode. See you later.